Hey everyone, John Deere from John Deere's Embroidery Legacy, and I have something really exciting to show you. It's kind of old, but we're making it new again, and that is our adorable Ideas Sparkle Kits. 15 years ago, we came up with the idea of combining embroidery with rhinestones and nailheads, but making it easier than having to apply them one at a time. They actually come on a sheet, and all of them are pressed all at once, and we give you the embroidery file to actually run first, and then you have the completed project. So we're going to show you how that's done today. All we're going to use is our echidna hooping station, our mighty hoop. We're going to use a canvas bag. I have a Teflon sheet, and I have my handy heat press over here. And you can use a household iron, but this of course is much easier. And we're going to show you how fast and easy it is to add some bling or some sparkle to your designs, because some things never go out of fashion, and sparkles seem to be coming back as a trend all over again. So let's get started sewing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hoop my tote bag, and if you've ever tried to hoop a tote bag, it definitely helps if you have a hooping station. Now the echidna hooping station works perfectly with the mighty hoops because they are magnetized, and I can actually take this side of the hoop and I'm going to position it right towards the top so that I know it's centered. So if I'm doing this over and over again and I have a dozen bags to do, I know they're always going to come out exactly the same every single time. Then I'm just going to take my piece of stabilizer for this job, and because it is a canvas tote, I really don't need to use a cutaway. This is just a regular tearaway stabilizer. I'll put it in place using only 4 magnets, and then I'm going to take my tote and I'm just going to very easily slide it over top of the opening. And this is the advantage, because it is a tubular item. I can literally take this, pull it all the way down. I know it is going to stop at the top here. I'll just make sure that it is equal on both sides, and while I'm holding it in place, all I have to do is take my magna hoop and I'm just going to pop it down into place, and it's done. Then I just have to pull everything nice and tight out of the way, make sure that none of the magnets are stuck in place, but that is actually nice and tight, perfectly placed, and it's ready to go on the machine. Okay, so we finished the design. I'm going to put my hoop to the side, and I'm not going to take out the stabilizer. You'll always notice that with regards to the sparkle designs, they are very low density. We don't have a lot of density in them because they are multimedia, and we're going to be adding the sparkles to it. And we also found that a lot of people like to use these on things like t-shirts, and you don't want those to be stitch intensive either. So I have my heat press here, and my heat press is set at 350 degrees and at 12 seconds, and there's about 40 pounds of pressure in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my sparkle template over top of the surface area, make sure that I have everything covered so I know it's going to get equal heat. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply it, and we're going to click down on it and apply pressure for just a couple of seconds to make sure that it's nice and flat within the area, and then I'll release it. Now I'm going to take my sparkle template and I'm going to very carefully tear off all of the white excess part. Now if you ever do get any of this little white area that's left on the back of it, I want you to take a pair of scissors, and I just want you to very quickly trim off any of that white area, because that will actually end up sticking to the material, and you don't want it to actually leave marks on the material itself. So if I do see any white areas on there, I'll just very quickly take a pair of scissors and get rid of all of that excess white area. Then I'm going to take my template and I'm going to very carefully line it up to the embroidery. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but I want to line it up so that everything's kind of in place. I have everything around the stars pretty much lined up. If you do ever find that things aren't lining up to your satisfaction, you can always cut these templates a little bit more and you can place them exactly where you want them. So if I did want this to not be offset, I could just trim that part out. But this looks pretty good as far as I'm concerned. So now that I have that template in place, I'm going to take my piece of Teflon and I'm going to put it down over top of that plastic so that it's not going to melt directly onto the top surface of my heat press. And then I'm going to clamp it down again and I'll start my timer so it's going to actually time for the 12 seconds that I want it to actually run. Now if you're doing this with a household iron, you'll just want to make sure that you apply enough heat and that it gets really, really hot. Now I'll release this. And let's just clear the timer, remove this. I'm going to let this dry completely as far as heat. Right now it's extremely hot. I'm going to make sure that this cools down completely and then we're going to peel off the plastic after it's done. If I peel it off too soon, I might actually bring some of the nail heads or sparkles off with it because right now that glue is liquefied and I want to make sure that it sets properly into the fabric. Now that we've let things cool completely, all you're going to do is you're going to grab a corner and you're just going to very carefully slide this off. And as you slide it off, you'll see that I have nothing left on my plastic and all of my rhinestones and nail heads are nice and pressed in place. If you ever do pull off the plastic and you see that there are still some rhinestones left on there, that means that you didn't actually give it enough heat. And then you can just carefully place it back on so it lines up and go through the process again and give it a little bit more heat and you'll be fine. So I think that actually took a very plain looking design and added a little bit of bling and flair. Thanks for watching. To make your embroidery life easier, hit the subscribe button below to be notified of new tips and tricks videos, giveaways, and more. Plus, take advantage of our Digitizer's cheat sheet and get a free embroidery design in the links below. The next step of your embroidery legacy starts here with ours.